What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Tuesday. No Rockets. No Rockets game to discuss, but it's the offseason for the Rockets. We can talk about that Tyrese Halliburton three-point game winner to put the Pacers up 2-0, 2 wins on the road. But no, we're going to talk Rockets and offseason plans. And Ime Udoka and Rafael Stone had their end-of-season press conference earlier Tuesday. I want to get your thoughts on what was said, kind of said, not said, general manager speak, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. But I'm, of course, KG, Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. How you doing out there? Stephen, thank you very much for asking about Jalen Green and the numbers. Data shows that Rockets offense, more units are better with Jalen off the floor than on it. Rafael said, I could make numbers, data show whatever I wanted to show. That's true. But Solo, how are you as well? Based on what Stone said, it sounds like Jalen is staying. It's May 6th. I'm going to say it like that. It's May 6th. But part of it from Rafael Stone. I will quote, this is a quote from Tuesday. I will give you an inside betting tip that I think continuity is very, very, very likely. Last summer, we didn't make changes because we were really comfortable with where we were, and we'd seen really good things from our team in terms of kind of a good progression. And I think we saw more of the same this year, so I think the bar to make changes is very high. Later on in the press conference, my man Kelly Eco asked him more about continuity. Rafael's answer was kind of different. I think continuity for continuity's sake isn't what we're trying to achieve. Continuity is great, but the goal ultimately is to build a championship team. And if we think that there's a move or a series of moves that make it more likely we will be that, then we would ignore continuity and we do those moves. Huh? What, Rafael? What? The long-winded answer of saying, if a team makes us a great offer, I'm making a trade. You know, he did say no one's untouchable. I'm glad he said that. You know, he kind of defended Jalen. You know, Jalen said after the game, he said after all the games, really, he knows he has to be better, and he'll be better next playoff, and blah, blah, blah. And Rafael said, we all know Jalen did not play well this series. He'll be better. Okay. That's good. It's nice to say. It's part of what he's saying. It's part of a press conference for the most part. It's public speak. It's GM speak. It's coach speak. Very rarely are people going to just give you just gold comments that you can run with and say, oh, a trade is going to happen now. But as Tony says right here, Tony, thank you for chiming in. They were being nice. That's how I know Jalen's getting traded. I think he is too. But anyway, Steven did not like the answer Stone said. Give me a specific one that Rafael said. We'll talk about that more. Tony said they be lying. Part of press conferences too is lies. So many people in the national media are saying the Rockets should trade for Durant. Durant's 37. Durant's 7 years older than Giannis. Don't see that happening. But I'm going to say this toward the end of the press conference. I'm just going to say this. Said it for a while. Held him and hard about it. I take it differently, Stephen. The way they were talking about Cam, it looks like they are planning to give him more minutes next season. I think Ime's answer to Will Kunkel's question about Cam and why Cam didn't play more this year, and what is the message to Cam? Ime said the same thing he said we've known here on these shows. Cam knows what he has to do to get on the floor. It's not news to Cam Whitmore. It's not news to us what Cam needs to do to get on the floor. So if Cam doesn't do that, Cam won't play. Period. And I don't think he'll be here next year. I stand by that. For Cam to play next year as a Rocket, he'll have to cut into some minutes for some other folks. Who's that going to be? Who of the core rotation? Let's get into it. The core rotation. Fred's coming back. Less money, longer years, more years on his contract. Fred's coming back. So you got, and of course, the easy answer to it, Jalen Green. But let's assume for right now, because it's May 6th, as we do this show, that Rafael's first quote about continuity, the team stays the same. They don't do any major deals. The back end of the roster changes. Jayshawn Tate, Jeff Green, Jack Landale, guys like that. But the core guys, I think Steven Adams will be back. But the core group, whose minutes will Cam take? Jamon, a little different. Oh, Jamon agrees with Rafael Stone, thinks the Rockets should be conservative with the moves they make. Tony, you think Jalen is Harden 2.0? Boy, hell, it'd be nice if Jalen became part of James Harden. Man, this is true. If the Rockets get Cooper Flag, everything changes. Jamon says, no need to sell Jalen for pennies on the dollar. Let's see how he looks after one more offseason of development. I could see him being traded by February. If not this summer, I can see him being gone in February by the deadline. Hello, how are you? Tony says he would rather see a less talented guy giving effort and being aggressive than what Jalen gave the Rockets. Okay, we saw Rafael's kind of going back and forth about continuity. Bobby, how are you? Ime said, quote, when we played really good basketball, we had some blowout wins, talking about in this series. And when we played average or below, we still had close losses. And so the more consistent you can be across the board and avoid some of the situations that even got it to get to a game 7 would be one missing aspect. But other than that, talk about needs for the team in the offseason. He may smile when he said this. I'd say 90% free throw shooter and 50% three-point shooters. That's what we're missing. And I was just going to say that. Solo. Reed Shepard says hello. And again, it would be good if Reed Shepard takes Aaron Holiday's role. That'd be good. That'd be important for Rafael Stone for his words, his glowing endorsement for the reasons he drafted Reed Shepard to come true. Reed Shepard becomes a bigger role, has minutes consistently next season, his second year in the NBA. That'd be important, part of the development. But I'm going to say, Rafael, toward the end of the presser, was asked about, he talks to Tillman. Tillman's on board. There's synergy between ownership and the front office and the coaching staff. So that sounds great on May 6th. If May 8th or June 8th or July 8th or whatever, August 8th, Giannis says to the Bucks, Giannis, KD, Book, whoever, a superstar, says publicly, I want out of here and I want to go to Houston. Make it happen. If that superstar says that, a trade is going to happen. So It's nice and all about, let's say things that it's nice to say right now on May 6th, because none of this talk has been made public about Giannis going this, that, and the other. Solo, well, Jimmy Butler, he lowered his trade value. He still got traded. A lot of stars, when they go vocal, they lower the team's trade value. But at some point, the team just says, we can't deal with this anymore. You got to go. It always happens. Very rarely, very, very, very rarely. I mean, Pat Riley is the OG. Riles is an OG. He holds firm. Known for being a hard ass, a hard liner. Even he got fed up with Jimmy Butler and traded him away. That's the value of being a superstar. So if a superstar is fed up with his franchise and I want out, I'm going to sit out. I don't care what you do, how long it's going to take. I'm not playing for you anymore. Deal will happen. It's going to happen. Thrillo states, if they have to give up too much, they will basically be in the same position. You notice that too? Not too complicated. Thank you for chiming in as well. Stone started to stutter and baffle his words when he talked about Jalen Green. I think I'm agree with you, Solo second. I think Ime wants Kevin Durant. I think you're right. I'm not sure about getting a read on Rafael and wanting Book or Giannis more. But I stand what I said. And it's not what I said is not earth shattering. It's not rocket science. There was talk about KD in the Rockets a while ago. Not the trade that we think fits the timeline. But if KD says publicly, or his people, and let's phrase it that way, if KD's people make it known he wants to be a Rocket, he's going to be a Rocket. He's going to be a Rocket. If KD's reps get in touch with one of the Fertittas, Tillman, Patrick, yeah, it sure would be great if Kevin Durant was a Rocket in a Rocket uniform. It's going to happen. Bobby says right here, a trade will happen if a superstar wants to go to Houston. I think Tillman will make sure it happens. Agree. Tillman can say how can I phrase this? I think I'm assuming that the celebration to honor the Houston Cougars men's team is available on YouTube at the Cougars YouTube site or KHOU. They've streamed it live, whatever. Tillman spoke to the audience before leaving for game one of the playoffs. Was that game one? Game two of the playoffs. That's because it was a Wednesday. Tillman's opening remarks, he had high praise for the Cougs, and I paraphrase it because I don't remember his exact words. But he said, paraphrasing, he said, I wish my other team was as successful as this team. I wish my other team was as successful as this team. He was talking about the other team is the Rockets. He said it because when he said those words, I was thinking to myself, damn, he said that out loud. He said those words. Part of his opening remarks at the Cougar celebration for the men's team. I wish it sure would be nice if my other team was as successful as this team. Now, I will say, well, complicated. I mean, some folks will disagree with you on that. I mean, Cam is a bucket, doesn't do much else. He can score. He's an explosive scorer. That Cam. And Steven and Tony are agreeing on it was 5-on-4 in the first round series. It's wild to think that the Rockets basically played an entire series against the Warriors without a shooting guard. There was no backup shooting guard in the playoff rotation. Houston had no swing man in rotation. But Solo says he feels the superstars would rather go to Miami or LA instead of Houston. That has been the case, and that's been a question that me and colleagues have wondered for a while. Why is that? WK is leading me into the discussion, part of the discussion we're going to have in this show. WK thinks the cost to the Rockets for KD probably represent the best value, given what the team is getting versus what they will have to give up. The cost for Giannis will be too high. All right. This quote from Fred is about a week old, maybe 10 days old. From ESPN to ESPN's Tim McMahon or Michael C. Wright. This is Fred VanVleet. We know in the playoffs sometimes it boils down to if you have an unguardable guy in the last 5 minutes that can close the game. We got everything else. I don't think it's like some savior that's going to come here and save all our sins. But it's like, do you have a guy you could throw it to the last 5 minutes in a playoff series that can win you games when it matters the most? I think that if we had that, I think we would be considered more title favorites. Now, you can still have success in the playoffs, but it's just harder. The margin of error is smaller. Y'all agree with what Fred said? I think y'all do. The Rockets do not have. Many of y'all have stated it. Y'all don't believe Al P is that guy. He's not a superstar. He's not that guy. Fred said it right there, quote. So if the Rockets don't have that guy, then don't they need to go get that guy? And if they don't have that guy, Rafael, the second part of your quote is more important. The second part of Rafael's words toward the end of the press conference are legit. Continuity for continuity's sake isn't what we're trying to achieve. Continuity is great, but the goal ultimately is to build a championship team. So if that's the goal, to build a championship team, then this running it back with this same group and just relying on internal growth and improvement and learning from this first round playoff series loss, not enough. Not enough. Bobby agrees with Fred. Sola says Fred is right, by the way. Joseph Terrell, thank you, Joseph, for chiming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Trade down to take Mr. Clayton Jr. Joseph, I think you, not too complicated, and others like Walter Clayton Jr. But is he going to start? When will he? What will be his role next year with the Rockets? And how soon do you expect him to do that? Steven Fernandez, how many bigs can have success posting up against Draymond Green without a legit shooting guard showing up to play? That's fair. I still blame LP for missing a lot of shots in the paint, though. Two-way street. Jamon states, we need that guy, but we shouldn't overpay for a star right now. We should continue to wait for some of the young talent to emerge as a star. Once that happens, then we can go star hunting. All right, Jamon, I'm going to ask you, how long you going to wait for, and you said some of the young talent to emerge. How many players on the Rockets of the young core do you believe will emerge into being a star? Because I think you might be alone in your argument right there a little bit on that happening. And I mean, he made a comment about this during the season. I think it was after the loss to Minnesota. We don't have a guy down the stretch to go get us buckets. Tony says, I'm sure Ime was saying everything in his toolbox to motivate Jalen. That's got to be frustrating from your main guy. Joseph says Walter can take Reed's place. Well, I think Walter Clayton is probably better than Reed overall, best both sides of the court. But what would Rafael do about that? Best player in the draft gets bumped for Walter Clayton Jr. just after 1 year. Jamie Sue, they will have to pay Adam his bag to keep him. Pretty sure other teams will be interested. As sure. Agreed. But part of it, Steven Adams wants to be here. That's part of it. Now, if it's the Lakers or somebody, tosses him money that the Rockets can't afford. But that's part of it. Not too complicated states. Walter Clayton can play on and off the ball. Automatically, he's the backup guard, either point guard or shooting guard. Solo says it. Y'all agree with this? Also, if Jalen does come back, he shouldn't be in the starting lineup. Whew, boy, that's $31 million for a backup. That's a lot. I have a problem with it. Y'all know me. You earn your spot. You earn your minutes. I got no problem with that. Tillman might, but Jamon says Şengün is the closest to being a star right now, but we have upcoming high-value draft picks that could net us that star. All right. This info, courtesy of ESPN insider Bobby Marks. It's a lot to it, a lot to digest, but here's some of it. And we could jump to the Giannis trade proposal from the Athletic, which is, to me, not going to happen for one, but who knows. But draft picks in June, Rockets have the Suns pick, as Solo knows quite well. Free agents, Fred, team option. He'll be back, I believe. Steven Adams, Uncle Jeff. Aaron Holiday, team option. Jay Sean Tate, Jack McVay, and N'Faly Dante are restricted free agents. State of the roster. Losing in the first round as the 2 seed should be considered a failure. But a big picture approach and taking into account where Houston was after trading James Harden in 2021 shows how much the Rockets overachieved this season. The 17, 20, and 22 win season since Harden was traded were replaced with 41 wins a year ago and 52 this season. State of the roster, the truest test, now comes with how the Rockets front office and coaching staff evaluate the roster and then address their playoff shortcomings. That approach should be much different from the regular season, during which Houston rightfully took a conservative approach to tweaking its roster. The question now is if relying on continuity is good enough to compete for a championship. I say no, it's not good enough to compete for a championship. I'm kind of, some of y'all are, Jamon not agreeing with me right now for continuity, be conservative. Overall, Solo, Tony, Steven, not too complicated, Joseph, Jamie Sue, what do y'all want the Rockets to make a bold move this offseason or rely on continuity and wait until we'll see how these young guys look in November, December, January, and then make a move in February? Y'all more along with that, or make a move, get that star, go with what Fred VanVleet is quoted saying: the Rockets need to get that unguardable guy. Anyone see Lou Williams compare Jalen to Kobe when he played the Jazz? I didn't see that. I did reference that a few shows ago because I remember Kobe was horrible. Horrible. Air ball, horrible. But Complicated responded, I think it was him, said that Jalen does not have that dog mentality, that mindset that Kobe had. That's a question that the Rockets need. The front office has to decide, has to determine, they got to ride it out or not. All right. Tony says the Rockets did overachieve, but when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Steven, if I were to pick an order of what star I want added to this team, it would be Giannis, 1, 2, Booker, 3, Durant. Mo Beasy, thank you for chiming in. Said run it back with some small tweaks. WK says thinks the Rockets are 2 years away from being championship contenders. They need to get a number one scorer. From there, you let growth take you to the next level. So some of you guys sound like y'all aren't saying the Rockets are ready for phase 3. Steven says yes, make a move, 100%. Not too complicated says depends on the jump the players make in the off season. So it sounds like you want to see how they look in November, December, January, and then go from there. Tony says got to just get rid of Jalen without giving up the whole squad. Joseph says Jalen is no B. Jamon, Rockets need to make tweaks to the roster to strengthen the bench. Would rather go bargain hunting for underutilized players on other teams that could emerge as stars or good role players. All right, back to Bobby Marks info. Oops. All right. Off-season finances. Fred's team option will play a role, and reported by Mark Stein and Jake Fisher that the deadline will be pushed back to the end of June. It was the end of this week. I think might have been probably May 10th or so. So going to push that back to June. Just work out the numbers. Fred's coming back. He's coming back. Fred's team option will play a role in how much flexibility the Rockets have this offseason. There's window right there. And then, like I said, that's been pushed back to June, end of June. Factoring the first-round pick owed by Phoenix and exercising the VanVleet option, Houston would be $7.5 million over the luxury tax and right at the first apron. The Rockets could decline the option and then sign VanVleet to a long-term contract, but for less money. I think everybody expects that. Everybody expects that. Houston does have some flexibility with $12 million in non-guaranteed contracts, Aaron Holiday and Jock Landale. If Van Vliet's option is exercised, it won't be. Houston has until June 29th to guarantee Landale's $8 million contract and exercise Holiday's $4.9 million team option. Top front office priority. Houston's first-round loss to Golden State should have the franchise internalizing two questions. Let me know if y'all agree with these two questions. First, is there confidence that the current roster and addition of a top 10 pick can develop into more than just a good regular season team? Their leading scorer in the regular season, Mr. Green, Jalen Green, averaged 6 fewer points and shot 37.2% from the field and 31.2% on three-pointers in the first round. And of course, those numbers include his 38-point game too. You take that out, those numbers are even worse. But back to the numbers. Houston as a team was outscored 22-10 in clutch time throughout the first three losses, after going 26-18 in such games, tied with Cleveland for the most clutch wins in the league. That leads into the second question. Do the Rockets need an all-NBA caliber player, specifically the Suns' Kevin Durant, or even the Bucks' Giannis Antetokounmpo, to take the next step? If they do go star chasing, the Rockets check three critical boxes. Stephen, there, I'm not going to bring it up on the screen. Not happening. Not happening. Not going to happen. You're getting like complicated. Detroit had a chance to get Jalen, and they passed up on it. No. All right. Draft equity. The Rockets have 5 tradable firsts in the next 7 years, including the 9th pick in this year's draft and unprotected firsts in 27 from Phoenix and 29 Phoenix or Dallas. The Rockets can also trade first-round picks in 28, 30, and 32. Controllable contracts. The Rockets have 5 players, Jabari, Tari, Reed, Cam, and Amin, on first-round rookie contracts. Sizable contracts. Şengün and Jalen Green signed rookie extensions last October. The poison pill restriction in their contracts gets lifted on July 1st, making them trade eligible. Both players are set to earn $33 million next season. Dillon Brooks has 2 years left on his contract, $22.1 million and $20.9 million. There should also be a priority to retain Adams. The Rockets were at their best in the Golden State series when Adams was paired with Şengün. Houston was a plus 30.7 points per 100 possessions when both players shared the court in the postseason. They were a plus 30 in the regular season. Extension candidates to watch. Jabari started 194 games in his first 3 seasons, but was replaced by Amin late this season, January. In the 19 games off the bench, Smith shot 49.2% from the field and 37.2% on threes, and the Rockets were plus 7.9 points per 100 possessions with him on the court per cleaning the glass. Still wish he would have got more shots in that series. Tari Eason averaged career highs in points, assists, steals, blocks, and field goal percentage this season. The Rockets are nearly $80 million below the luxury tax next season and can take a more proactive approach with both players. Team needs a center if Adams leaves in free agency. There is also a priority for Reed Sheppard to develop into a rotational player. Sheppard averaged 12.6 minutes this season and struggled with consistency from the perimeter. Let's stop right there. Do y'all agree with that assessment of team needs? Center and minutes for Reed Sheppard. All right, get back to your comments here. Steven likes the idea of Giannis coming to the Rockets. Solo said it for me about sorry, Jalen. Yeah, it's not happening. WK, to be honest, Amin is not as skilled offensively, but he does have a lot of what Giannis does already. Steven, hot take, if Jabari can develop handles similar to Tracy McGrady, he could be the best player on this team. That's a real hot take. And he does need to work on his handles, that's for sure. Going left, he just not as strong going left. But I don't know about being the best player on the team. It'd be nice if you can finally prove me right about being the best pick in that draft that Paulo Banchero has run away with. Dylan Brooks needs to be traded. He is hurting the Rockets' development. Joseph talking about Jalen here. After Draymond blasted his nail polish, he was not the same. D-Skills, welcome, welcome, welcome. Reed is a G League Hall of Famer. Jimon asks, is there any danger in letting both Jabari and Tari enter restricted free agency if they can just match whatever contract another team offers? It's not danger. I mean, very few teams have cap room. And very few teams are going to toss massive money to both of them. Kind of a bad precedent, though. But, you know. Obeezy agrees with the assessment of a center and more minutes for Reed. Talking about Maluch Duke or Derek Queen from Maryland. Two different kind of bigs. Maluch is more of a shot blocker, much less refined offensive game than Derek Queen. Derek Queen is not the athlete. He's a skilled big man, though. He's a very, very skilled big man. He might be shorter than Mobiz you like. I'm kind of curious to see what his measurements are, height and arm length, wingspan at the combine. But he can score. He got skills, offensive skills for sure. If the Rockets did a redraft with Jalen, if there was a redraft with Jalen, he can still score. He's just not consistent enough to be a lead option on a team. I don't pay attention to Draymond. I think, who was it? Justin on the previous show mentioned that Dylan did not shake anybody's hand with Golden State. That's fine. I don't care about all that. Sportsmanship, whatever. You want to shake my hand? Fine. If you don't, so what? Not going to change the fact that we won, you lost, vice versa. I don't care. Whatever. It's not soft. I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes, and to me, I could just say it like this. Why be phony about it? I don't like you. You don't like me. I'm not going to shake your hand. Period. I don't care. I respect you, but I don't like you, so I'm not going to shake your hand. Leave me alone. I don't like you, and I'm pissed off that I lost to you, so why am I going to shake your hand? No. GRX says does not think Jalen will be traded. They picked him and thus want to give him every chance to prove them right. Your rationale is sound. But again, if a star player says, I want to be traded from my current team and I want to go, and it'd be nice for leverage sake. My choices are Houston, Dallas, and the Pacers, whatever, for leverage purposes. That star player will get his way eventually. Bobby says, agreed about the assessment Rockets needs. Reed needs to take the next step into the rotation or be traded. Another year on the bench is a wasted spot on the roster for the number 3 pick in the draft. I agree. Oh, Steph got hurt? Was he injured this time? Is it ankle, hand, hamstring? What happened to him? Appreciate this. Random Legos? Old school, as in Legos? Thank you very much for joining the discussion live. Appreciate that. Question to answer. How many years does it take to develop consistency? Probably depends on the position. Depends on a few factors. The position you're playing, who's coaching you, where you played in college, all that kind of stuff. The Pistons do not have a first-round pick. That pick goes to Minnesota, I think. Go back to Isaiah Stewart trade from a few years ago. I think that's right. A hamstring. Oh, the wear and tear. Wear and tear. I'm not going to say anything. I forgot who it was. It was a Warriors fan in the previous show when I pointed out about KD being 37, and he said Steph 37. And I said, well, Steph at the time hasn't had Achilles injuries or ankle injuries. He's had an injured thumb. Well, old age, Father Time is undefeated. So, it's nice, but Father Time is undefeated. Period. But all right, wrapping it up with Bobby Marks info here. Draft assets. Houston has 8 future first-round picks, 5 that are tradable in the next 7 years. The Rockets owe OKC a top 4 protected first in 26, but have their own first in 27. They also have swap rights with Brooklyn that year. The Suns will send Houston their 27 unprotected first. The Rockets also have 2 of the more favorable firsts between their own, Dallas and Phoenix in 29, and have 7 second-round picks available. That's a lot of info right there. Rockets have a lot of assets. But the question, continuity versus change. Complicated and others says Cam Whitmore needs to be back. He's too talented. That he may be. But again, Stephen and Jamon gave different answer back to back. Stephen says change. Jamon says continuity. And you guys are fans, but y'all are knowledgeable about the sport. So it's safe to say that there are people in the front office who probably share y'all's viewpoint. There are folks in the front office who believe a change is in order, and there are some folks in the front office who believe continuity is more important. So we're going to see. The Rockets, as of May 6th, probably Rockets Steven need to make a change. They need to make a change. But as of May 6th, the Rockets probably will not do anything big unless a star player includes them on his wish list. Or basically a star player really forces them to think long and hard to make that big change. Because I believe the logic from GRX and others is a factor. Rafael wants to give Jalen Green as much of an opportunity to succeed as a Rocket as possible. Part of that is where Jalen was picked, some ego involved, all of that. Personally, I don't believe Jalen is it here and will be it here. Now, they could wait until January, December, January, February. Who was it? Because many of y'all point out, Trillo for sure, but many of y'all, Justin, GRX, point out how Jalen is too inconsistent. Which one's going to show up month to month? At one point, how long are you going to wait for him to play well every game? Or 9 out of 10 games and not be month to month? Not be the Jalen, the January Jalen as opposed to the March Jalen. So they might, barring a superstar saying, I want to be a Rocket, they might, because they don't have, they can play it safe. And just wait and see how Jalen does in November. See how the team does those first few months of the season. And then if it becomes obvious, this just ain't working, we got to get rid of this dude. Or get rid of all these 3, 4, 5 dudes. This ain't working. Okay. And make a trade that way. They might use that rationale. So, it's different ways. GRX clarified he wants Jalen gone. But then all of us have seen, you've seen enough basketball over the years. You've seen there's just some guys just ain't it. And get well paid to be not it. And no shade on him getting that money. But he's not that dude. And everybody knows the answer. But for those who haven't seen it already, I think I still have the slide available. D-Skills, I hope you're still watching. So for those who did not see this on Sunday or haven't seen it yet, let me see. Look at this. So for those who already know the answer to this, don't say it. But if you have not seen this yet, this is fourth year in the league for both these two guys. Who was player A and who was player B? So by their fourth season, neither of these guys made an all-star game. They were not all-stars. So if you don't already know the answer, one person, if you don't know, give me the answer. Because I remember the reaction to when I posted the answer, a lot of folks surprised. Stephen A says player A is Shea. So Stephen, who was player B? And Tony said this about Jalen after he was honest though, Tony. You got to say that. Only too many hit the pulpit and say the lights were too bright for me. Need to hit in with the gas face. But this is the correct answer. Year 5, Shea just became everything we see now. And his, 7th or 8th year in the league? Jalen Green goes into his 5th season next season. None of us, if you do believe year 5 will be the year Jalen Green erupts and becomes an all-star, let us know. Let us know. Type it in and let me know. Let all of us know that you believe Jalen will be that he's going to just blow up. He's going to be a 5th year. He's going to be all world, everything. Become the player that the Rockets want him to be, expect him to be. See? Look at the answers. Solo likes this. At least Jalen is self-aware that he played like trash. He said poop. Complicated says stats are misleading. Some stats are. I mean, like Rafael said in today's press conference, data, you can make data do whatever you want, Tell a story how you want to tell it. But Jamon's answer is the Rockets' answer. That's a great case for keeping Jalen Green. Random, I change your mind in what way? That you want to keep Jalen or you want to trade Jalen? D-Skill says the only way Jalen will be at the All-Star game is if he buys a ticket. Tony says Jalen been playing basketball his whole life, and all he has is a quick first step. And it's one of the things Jalen needs to get stronger. Mo Beasley believes he'll learn from this. Random says he wants to keep Jalen now, based on what he saw in the stats. I don't like his short shorts, his John Stockton shorts. WK says he'll be a fine player in the NBA, just not a superstar, which is okay, just not for the Rockets, who need a number one scorer. Do y'all agree with that? Jimon being very positive. Thinks the playoff experience will motivate Jalen to put in the work. Let me go back to what Steven said. I think it was Steven. Yeah, Steven was your comment. Here we go. Steven said this earlier when he saw how Draymond punked Jalen and told him to go paint his nails, and Jalen's response was to drop a whopping 8 points. Steven knew he ain't that guy and never will be. How many of y'all agree with that assessment rather than those who want to keep Jalen? See, this statement is true. Is fair. It's legit. Even if you want to move Jalen, it does not make sense to trade him now at an all-time low value. His first round showing was such trash that the Rockets won't get great value for him right now. I mean, that's fair. You know, it wasn't like he set the world on fire in the first round. His performance did not make teams say, we got to have him. Let's go get him. We got to get him. He played like trash. Oh, I'm going to say it. I'll say it here. Jalen said it. Played like shit. I mean, yeah. Well, not too complicated. You know the answer to this. Jalen wanted max money for his extension. The Rockets wanted to give him that contract extension, so they kind of met in the middle. So, you know, I saw it. Complicated. I saw that, and I know what you're referencing. Tony says we're going to have problems with him on the bench. When you have leverage over the Suns, I'm sure they'll be happy giving them their picks back and Jalen Green. Take it or leave it. I think that is an option. Okay. The final moments, and I saved this for last because just the first part of the trade suggestion. No. But anyway, here we go. Let me go back to the beginning. That's more important. That's very important. But there we go. This is from the guys at The Athletic. 3-team trade. Giannis to the Rockets. The Bucks get Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore, Donovan Clingan, 2025 pick from Phoenix, the Suns 27th first round pick, then 29 first on blah, 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 blah. Rockets get Giannis and Jeremy Grant. The Trailblazers get Alperen Sengun and Jock Landale. But like I said, this is after game 5, I think, game 5 of the first round series. As soon as I saw Amen Thompson included in the trade, I was like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. Rockets aren't doing that. No. But I typed it, no. But everybody, let's see. D-Skilled, hell no. Steven, hell to the no in all caps. Never felt more disrespected in his life. Cyrano, no worries. Just watch the rebroadcast. Catch up on that. See what you missed. Tony says we ain't giving up Thompson, period. Stone wouldn't make that trade. Complicated. The guy's pathetic. Oh, well, see, that's why I did not lead the show with this proposal, because I was like, yeah, come on, guys, really. Fans from all 3 teams hate the trade. I'm sure they do. But let me just jump to the rationale of it. That part right there. I'm not moving Giannis unless he asks out. I would expect the Bucks to look at every avenue for success with him over the next couple of months before he gets here. It's the staff, it's probably Sam Bassini. To me, Houston is the team that makes the most sense to end up with Giannis Antetokounmpo. If the Bucks have to move him, the Rockets have the most assets in the league in terms of young, controllable talent outside of the Thunder, and they desperately need a number 1 option. This deal allows them to acquire Giannis for the players that, frankly, don't make a lot of sense on their roster when it comes to playing next to Giannis in Thompson and Şengün, the 2 players who also happen to have the highest trade value on the team. Do y'all agree with that logic? Mark's not trading me. Yeah, Amen and LP. And I trade one of them. I'm not trading both. And I don't think they're going to trade Amen. But anyway, the draft is June 20. Well, it's 2 days now. So what is that? So yeah, a few days before July 1st. Or wouldn't this be something? If OKC loses to Denver, already down 0-1. Sam Presti doesn't panic, but he might have to do something if they lose in the second round. Do y'all agree with this from WK? Giannis is not worth mortgaging the future for. Giannis is 30. 13 years in the NBA. 13 years. Wow. 30. I still want Giannis more than KD for the Rockets. But, all right, let's back it up. If come August, 3 months from now, Giannis has spent time with his family, got his vacation, reset his mindset, get ready for the upcoming season. And Giannis, through his reps, say, I love it in Milwaukee, but I just don't see us winning another championship here. And I would like another chance to compete for a championship. So yes, I am speaking with I've made contact with Milwaukee that I want to be traded. I want to be traded to a team that gives me the best chance to compete for a championship and also has enough make it a fair trade for Milwaukee so they get something in return to rebuild. That's what I want to see happen. Giannis says that there's only a handful of teams that can make it happen for the Bucks. Rockets, OKC, Brooklyn. They got some assets and cap space, but they don't have enough talent-wise. So Giannis to the Rockets, third team would have to be involved. Make it easier for salaries and all those things as well. But I'm good with trading. Let me go back to the info here. Because part of it, the info makes some sense. Here we go. The GM reaction. Sam was right to get the Bucks back in control of their picks from the Blazers between 28 and 30. I think that is one of the most valuable things the Bucks can acquire in any Giannis trade, because getting rid of one of the best players on the planet while not controlling your picks is bad business. Any trade off from the Rockets will require Thompson. Stop right there for me. Stop for me. Stop. In the packages I've received, there is an argument to be made that Thompson is the best asset because of his insane defensive ability, super athleticism, age, and contract. But I'd be curious to see if I could also acquire Tari Eason or Jabari Smith. See, right there, I give him Tari and Jabari. Tari, Jabari, Jalen, Cam, Reed. I'm not giving you a man Thompson. I'm not doing that. But more to this from The Athletic. Green is the problem in this deal. He is only 23 years old, and there still may be upside there, but his contract extension kicks in next season, and it's unclear if he will be worth that raise. So this, like I said, the rest of this info is after game 5 of the series. The contract extension makes the deal work financially, but I'm just not sure a player that volatile can make up such a large portion of a deal for Giannis. The Bucks need more sure things, which goes back to discussion moments ago. Jalen's poor first-round performance hurts the Rockets, because if Jalen would have lit up the Warriors, of course, the Rockets would still be playing, most likely. But if he had played well, if he was the best player in the series for the Rockets, and Rockets still lost in 7, Bucks fans or the Bucks front office, we get Jalen Green and some other Rockets in the picks, we could be okay. But he didn't do that. So not even close. But let's see how it all plays out. Rockets not trading a man Thompson. They're not doing that. I mean, never say never, I mean, of course, the ultimate is, and even is if Tillman or Rafael or whatever, y'all know, as Nico Harrison proved, showed all of us, stunned all of us. We're still talking about it. It only takes one GM or owner. If Tillman says it, if Tillman blinks and goes back to superstar love Tillman, he says, I want Giannis. But Tillman, they want Amen Thompson. I want Giannis. And again, like I said earlier, Tillman said at the celebration honoring the Houston Cougars men's basketball team, he wished his current team, the current team is the Rockets, had as much success as the Cougs. Cougs coming off losing in championship game. Cougs, Steven says, listen, as long as we keep Aman and Şengün, everyone else can go for Giannis. I think they can trade Alpi, and I'd be fine with that one. Tony says, Jalen, Landale, Tate, Cam, Jabari, Brooks are picks. Let them take what they want. If the Bucks are trying to tank and rebuild, they're not. And the Bucks aren't going to do anything until Giannis says, I want out. Warriors are up 20 on the Wolves without Curry. Boy. Jamon says this: we just need a Buddy Hield type player on a value contract. Well, got somebody in mind? Let me see. I have someone in mind. Want to make sure about him first. Let me see. As I scroll through, I think he's a free agent. Maybe not. But I was thinking someone like, yes, he is. Luke Kennard. Does he bring a smile to your Rockets' faces? Luke is an unrestricted free agent. Random Lex says it right there. Cyrano says, believes these Giannis rumors are floating because he does want out. Jamon says it'd be a good backup. Q says Rockets need Devin Booker. I know the way Devin Booker, where the Suns' season ended, his leadership didn't help either. Spencer and Dinwiddie, not enough. Not enough. WK says he's done nothing for Memphis. Different role, different team. But, just toss out there. Y'all want a three-point shooter. I mean, hell, Luke was one of the top three-point shooters in the league this year, wasn't he? I think, right? Three-point shooters. James Harden, no. Bruce Brown, no. Tim Hardaway Jr., doubtful. He was a rocket killer, though, as a Mav. Karis LeVert, no. Matisse Thybulle, no. Pat Connaughton, too old. Gary Harris, Malik Beasley, ain't going nowhere. Okay, how about this one? Oh, just lost it. I think he had a good, finally. Wouldn't cost a lot of money. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. How about him? Brandon doesn't want Fred on the team. Fred's coming back. Fred's coming back. Dinwiddie could be a cheap ball handler, and we could turn down Fred now. No. Duncan Robinson. Duncan's not a free agent, though. He makes a lot of money, too. But Jalen Williams, some guy named Andre, Quinn Grimes, Derek White, Grayson Allen, Melo. Quinn Grimes, Philly is not letting Quinn Grimes leave. Derek White. Where's he going anywhere? Why is he leaving Boston? We need someone that can average 25. So you want somebody to start, Tony. You don't want a bench player to come off being a shooter. Dennis Schroeder had a good time when he was in Houston. LaMelo, LaMelo in this system, no. And agreed here, nightlife, yeah. Cam Thomas is a free agent, and he's restricted free agent though. He's not unrestricted. So the Nets could and probably would match offers he gets. Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks, boy, that'd be something. That would be something. But you see, Gary Trent Jr., how about him? He can get out of his head about how he just lost the ball in that last game for the Bucks. But there we go. That'll wrap it up for this discussion. Thank you for joining the conversation on this Tuesday night, talking Rockets, talking continuity, consistency, change. For those who missed it, I want to repeat this from Fred VanVleet, his words to ESPN, roughly 7 to 10 days ago. Quote from Fred, "We know in the playoffs sometimes it boils down to if you have an unguardable guy in the last 5 minutes that can close the game. We got everything else. I don't think it's like some savior that's going to come here and save all our sins. But it's like, do you have a guy you could throw it to the last 5 minutes in a playoff series that can win you games when it matters the most? I think that if we had that, I think we would be considered more title favorites. Now you can still have the success in the playoffs, but it's just harder. The margin of error is smaller." That's Fred saying that, but the Rockets are lacking. I will be on again Thursday for sure on the lunch break, high noon. Probably. I'm not sure if we're going to record tomorrow. We'll see. We don't record tomorrow. I'm going to go live Thursday. Talk Rockets. Playoffs. Steve and D-Skills thinking the same thing. Fred with a low-key shot to Jalen Green. D-Skills, Fred calling out Jalen. Andre, you think that? I don't think Fred was brought here to be a leader. Fred's not a guy you can throw. Fred is not unguardable. Fred is not that guy to go get a bucket in the last 5 minutes of a game. He's not that guy. Too streaky. He's a hell of a leader. But shame. Q. I'd have to probably do a viewer poll on the next show of, do you want the Rockets to trade Jalen or keep Jalen? Just be yay or nay. No. Andre, you know that the Rockets were not trading, they did not give Fred all their money to be the unguardable guy. They overpaid for Fred to bring in some order and leadership and championship experience to the Rockets. Nobody thought Fred was going to come here and be that guy. No. They want Fred to be a leader, show them how to be a professional, practice right, compete, all those things. It wasn't, he was not brought in to be that guy. They overpaid for him. Yeah, we all agree on that. That's why he's going to take less money in his next contract with the Rockets. But that'll do it, everybody. Next show, Rocket-specific show, Let's Talk Houston Rockets, will be Monday the 12th after the lottery so we can see where the Rockets landed with that Suns pick. Because if they win the lottery, they're going to draft Cooper Flag and then go from there. But just subscribe, click on the bell on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel so you are notified when new shows are posted. Rocket shows, probably toss in some Coug shows as well. I know Andy and Dayon are working on a few things with Fluff and Bryce Bell for the summer. Got a few other things working on as well. AD Moore is going to have some Texans info and shows about that on the corner on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Buy you some merch. The merch sales have slowed down considerably the last 3 months. Do I think Miles is coming back? Nope. I think he should, but no, I don't. Unless he has a really awful report and awful showing at the combine. I think he's going to stay in the draft. I think that's a mistake. But if he gets a guaranteed contract from some team, second round pick, whatever, stay in the draft. But he should come back. But anyhow, Cougs are missing, but they won't miss him that much. They'll be a different team. They won't miss him that much. But everybody, spread the word about these shows. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Click on the product buttons below the vid on YouTube. And most definitely, Rocket fans, join me on May 12th. I might sprinkle in a Rocket show between now and May 12th. Talk about your favorite team. We're going to do it again. But as always, y'all know how I wrap it up. Thank you to everyone. Tony, Complicated, WK, J-Mon, Random Legos, some guy named Andre, Q, Joseph, Big Thrillo, and everyone else. Appreciate you taking time out of your routine, your night to talk hoops. Going to do it again soon enough. But wrapping it up, since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. Everyone, take care. Peace.
Game over.